Hedge, fair tube dwellers, your host the Mad Bag with another Mad Bag Gamer production. Today, more StarCraft. So, I haven't had a whole lot of Skyrim videos out lately because I've been trying to get a couple different things in position before I'm ready to start my next couple videos. So I figured in the interim, I would just record one of the StarCraft games I would play anyway, and why not spend just a touch of time commentating it. So as you saw from the loading screen just a second ago, I am Protoss. I'm on my The Mad Bag account, in which I am Diamond, and I generally race pick Protoss. And my opponent is Terran. I missed his name. That's quite alright. His name isn't incredibly important, and I actually may want to exclude his name. I am commentating this after the fact, so while you guys are watching a first-person video of me playing, I am actually talking after having recorded that, watching the video that I created. As I've said in past videos, I'm terrible at talking while playing, especially this game. Like Skyrim, I notice a difference in my play when I'm not trying to commentate, but it's not huge in Skyrim. It's not like game ending. In StarCraft, a game of seconds, any lack of focus whatsoever is most definitely game ending. Alright, so we are on Shakiris Plateau. I'm in the bottom left, and I'm searching for my opponent. This is a map where some degree of cross spawn is required, so they're either close air position or totally cross spawn. They can't be close ground position, so where I spawn, he can't possibly spawn straight north of me. However, he could spawn in the top right or bottom right corners. So I went up to the top right, found he wasn't there, and I am now proceeding to the bottom right, where I'm sure to find him. Since I'm sure to find him there, I went ahead and queued up some move commands around his base so that I can see, I don't know, everything, preferably. Ooh, and look at that trickiness! He stops building his barracks with the workers so that he can start a supply depot to keep my probe out. That denies me from scouting in his base. Alright, so there's a couple different things that this can cause as a Terran player when you do this to your Protoss enemy. Ultimately, I don't know whether or not he's taking his gas. So if he wanted to, he could take his gas and he could do a tech build, and I wouldn't have any good read that it's coming, because I can't get in his base because he put that supply depot up. However, as a Terran doing that build, if you get gas and you get the second supply depot that early, you either have to delay your orbital command or not get gas. So he can't possibly have gas and have an on-time orbital command. Because of that, generally when you see a Terran do this really early supply depot to block you off to wall, generally their second supply depot won't come until after their barracks, sometimes after their first marine, even often after their first marine. Seeing that though generally means that he hasn't taken his gas, because Terrans don't like delaying their orbital command. So that generally means an expand build. Now making that assumption can get you in trouble. However, this is also kind of an easy map to defend. It's well choked off and whatnot, so I'm going to go ahead and err on the side of slight macro risk. I only have one gateway out right now, and you guys can see my money begins to stockpile. I am indeed going to go with a 1-gate expand. I want to get that Nexus down as fast as possible, and we'll take a peek in the replay after this to see his command center timing. But normally, you can get your Nexus down around the same time as his command center when he's doing our 1 racks fast expand, which that depot kind of signifies. He'll start his command center earlier than you can start your Nexus. However, generally they'll put it in their base so that you can't scout it, and they'll turn it into an orbital command there as well, and generally by the time they have it at their natural, your Nexus is complete at your natural as well. So the timings work out to be pretty close whenever you're doing a 1-gate expand. He's doing a 1 racks expand. So how are we going to follow up the 1-gate? That is the question. You guys saw me slap down a gate up there in my natural, so I went up to 2-gate first, got my second gas, and now I'm doing something that you don't normally see players do, pros especially. I'm building a forge pretty quick. If I had any inkling that he was pushing, this could be really risky. If I had any inkling that he was going to be doing like a 3 racks timing, or maybe like a +1 timing or anything like that, putting that forge down would not be a good idea. Instead, I would want to get a couple more gates and try to commit kind of heavy to just having an army early. But I'm not. I'm going to get out the forge, and it is direly important to the composition that I'm planning on doing. I've been really liking a Zealot Archon style lately in Protoss versus Terran, because it feels way more mobile than the Blinkstalker Colossi. Even though the Blinkstalker is probably the most the most mobile unit the Protoss has, other than like the Phoenix or something, but come on, that doesn't count. The Zealot Archon army just feels like it's easier to split small parts of your army away and do damage, and not, you know, inefficiently lose that little small bit that you split away. A lot of times losing just a couple Zealots doesn't really slow you down. So with the Fast Forge, I'm getting an almost instant +1 off of just those first 2 gates. I actually think I slapped down a Twilight Council before going up in my gate count too. Which again, this can be risky, going this deep into tech. Yep, sure enough, there's the Twilight. Taking my 3rd gas kind of slowly, but I'm kind of focusing on probes right now. So I'm going heavy into tech, and generally speaking, you want to make sure that your opponent's not going to push and try to kill you before you do that. Oh, it looks like he had a SCV go across the Xel'Naga Watchtower in the middle. For a second, my Zealot went running away. And here go a couple more gates. Was that 2? No, that was just 1. So there's 1 more gate right now, and I think I put... No, I put a gate up by my natural 2, that's right. Okay, so that's 3 more gates total. That should bring me up to 5. Generally on 2 base, while you're investing in some of your initial tech, 5 gates is about all you can support. And you guys notice that my gas is stockpiling right now. I could probably work out some kinks in this build and make things go a little bit smoother. However, with the quickness of this... what is that? Is that a... I don't remember the High Templar Archives. Yes, God, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. With the quickness of this Templar Archives, you generally want some stockpiled gas. 2 base almost can't support Archons, can't support High Templar. But whenever you get the gas early and you stockpile it hard, and then you commit almost exclusively to Zealots, so you're not spending any gas in any of your army except for the High Templars, then you can kind of pull it off. And it helps to get the gas early the way I did here and to kind of stockpile it, even though that's a little bit of a bad practice. It will allow me to have an explosion of High Templar, and so an explosion of Archons here in a moment. And there you see the first High Templar. I'm not going to start Storm yet. Storm takes a while to complete, and if he pushes right now, that's going to make me really vulnerable. I'm already kind of vulnerable because I'm going real heavy in tech. If he were to push right now, that would make me ridiculously vulnerable. Going into that Storm. Instead, I'm going to try to get a couple High Templar out and go ahead and get an Archon on the map. I'm Chrono Boosting out Charge. I've almost got that complete. And that is actually +2 armor that you see there. I timed +2 armor perfectly with my Twilight Council completing. So, normally a 2 armor and a charge can be a real good timing push, because Terrans don't often get up to 2 damage very quickly. A lot of Terrans will get 1 damage very quickly, but in order for the Terrans to get their 2nd damage upgrade, they have to get an armory. And a lot of Terrans just don't do that fast. They don't time that well. They'll delay the 2nd one, they'll delay the armory, they'll focus on getting medevacs out and a huge barracks count, maybe even focus on getting a 3rd before going up to +2. So having +2 armor generally will give me an armor advantage. And here comes the push, timed with that +2 armor, and timed with those Archons and the charge, and just this, that, and the other. I did throw down a couple more gateways, I believe another 3, to bring me up to a total of 8. You need a lot of gateways whenever you're going Zealot Archon or Zealot High Templar. Zealots are one of the cheaper units that you can get off of the gateway. If you're doing something like Stalkers, then you end up using less warp ins to spend your money. However, when you're using something cheap like Zealots, you need more warp ins to spend all your money, so you generally have to have more gateways. And I did go ahead and get the robotics facility. This is mainly just to be safe. The second he sees my Archon, he should start getting ghosts, and if he works a cloak in there pretty quick, then ghosts can be really nasty if I don't have any moving detection. So there's a little bit of an engagement. It didn't go terribly well for me, but didn't go poorly for me either. The main thing is that I did battle and lost a lot of hit points, but didn't actually lose units, really. I backed off before the units were lost. And a lot of times it can be good to engage a Terran army in very short increments like that to get them to stem. Terrans never want to fight without stemming, and stemming takes hit points off their entire army. So like just starting an engagement a lot of times can damage a Terran's whole army, because they'll stem. So if you can engage and then get them to start backing up and then disengage without them being able to pick off a lot of your stuff. Oh, I lost my observer. That's not good. Oh, and I'm following up with a warp prism. I like to see the speed in which I'm putting things together here. As I was saying, though, generally when you engage a Terran army, and if you can back up without losing a whole lot, then it will really, really hurt him in the long run. It'll cause his medevacs to lose a lot of residual energy. Oh, and there's a storm. Yes, I've got storms in the mix now. That is nasty. I now have a couple momentous pieces of technology. I have a couple pieces of technology that work really well in conjunction, especially if I do any kind of pulling back with the Zealots and storming with the High Templar. So that gets him to stem and then storms. I'm using some feedbacks there too. I like to see that. And, ooh, he's not going in a good direction. And those Archons are just pummeling him. That gives me a window. So his army's totally dead. He'll have reinforcements coming out any second. However, I have a standing army. So this gives me a little bit of a window to try to get in there and do some damage. And I'm taking out some SCVs. That is beautiful. One of the best things you can do with a timing window like this is hinder their economy, so that as your economy stays steady, when there's falters, your army will get an advantage. You'll be able to macro harder. And it looks like my warp prism is in position and ready, but I'm not quite paying attention to it yet. Instead, I'm getting a couple more gateways. Looks like I had a little bit of money stacking up. Ooh, and I'm starting +3 armor. I like to see that. Getting that other observer, it really sucks that I lost that one. That is actually a really good turret placement from his point. That was right at the tip of his base. He's feeling ballsy again. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Oh, okay, no he's not. He just moved out to take over that pylon. I was putting the pylon up real close whenever I was trying to do that push in that little timing window. However, my probe didn't really get there in time and it didn't work out. I should have tried to cancel that pylon, but I didn't get it. And now he's in a position where his reinforcements on 2 base will probably stay equal to mine for a time. However, I'm going up to 3 base. You can actually see I'm mining over there. I can see on the minimap some little dots moving. So I'm mining on 3 base, and he's trying to land his 3rd and can't. I have a Zealot patrolling in the top right, so I know he's not taking a 3rd up there. And I have a Zealot hacking away at the rocks for the bottom middle expansion, so I'm trying to find out whether or not he lifted something there. But given that my Warp Prism went over that, I know that he doesn't have a base there yet. So it's unlikely that he's going to have one there soon, because he wouldn't have a 4th command center in his main building. So he's not on 3, and I'm barely on 3 base. So macro-wise, I should start taking a lead over him right here. I should start picking up. And ooh, look at, oh my god, the Archons. 3 more Archons. That makes 6 Archons. That's a huge number. Can I get a storm off? It looks like I'm trying. It looks like I'm trying to measure it out. No storm. Gonna boost that 3 armor again. Starting to get Blink. Blink is good to have. You can do a lot of good stuff with Blink. And as you start to, with Protoss, as you get any given technology, generally speaking, the Terran, oh joy, here goes some of your general ladder bad manner. Anyway, as I was saying, with Protoss, generally as you get any technology, the Terran can respond with the technology that's better than your technology. They can respond with something that will smash whatever you got. So you have to get a different technology and continually cause them to composition change. And that looks like it's about the end of it. Let's drop that thought and explore some of this. Rank-wise, he was in Diamond just like me. He was a rank 30, which is quite a bit lower than me. And he has 40 wins, which is infinitely more than me. Right now, I think I'm a rank, let's see, 60, that's after, I want to say before the game I was like a 64. That sounds about right. And yeah, 6 wins. Obviously, I haven't been playing a whole lot this season. So, looking at the breakdown at the end of the game, economy-wise, we'll see this in the replay here in just a second, but we were pretty close throughout. I think I got my 3rd up a little faster than him, and then I was kind of able to deny his 3rd with that contain. I think this is the real story of it, is this army value. And that, his comment at the end made that pretty obvious. He said he was at 3-3 already. So that means he was spending a lot more money on upgrades than I was, because I only had 1 forge. If he was at 3-3, he had 2 engineering bays. Getting upgrades constantly, I only had 1. So I think that is the primary thing that allowed this difference between army. That is what kept me engaging favorably. Our collection rate was close, and he actually spent his money a little bit better than me. But spent his money on the upgrades, unfortunately. Let's take a look at the replay. So, I'm going to speed through most of this as per usual. Let's see exactly how he opened. There's your depot. I'm specifically curious to see that gas timing. Yeah, that's what I expected. No gas. So he did gasless. He's planning on expanding. Whenever you see that depot that early, that's generally what that means. They can't fit that depot in unless they skip gas or unless they delay their orbital. Generally, Terran players don't want to do either of those. As far as the probe count goes, I stayed ahead of him well enough throughout this period to compensate for the mule he has. And it looks like we got our expansions down. He got his finished earlier than mine, but did not turn it to an orbital there and had to lift it to the natural. By the time he had it at the natural and as an orbital, our timings are probably going to be pretty close. So I'm about 5 workers ahead of him. That's about where you want to be. Looks like he's adding on his barracks. Ah, there it is. Holy crap, and that was early. He started 1-1 so early. Oh my god. He started off 2 racks. That's actually really risky. If I would have followed this up with like a 4 or a 6 gate, I probably would have just been able to break him. Comparably, my armor is coming quite a bit later than his stuff even. Looks like he might. No, he's not going to be good on timing the 2-2. 2-2 requires the armory, so he's not going to have the armory out to start 2-2 immediately. Going this heavy upgrades, you'd think you'd kind of center your build around getting the next one very quickly and the next one very quickly. Unless he was going for a timing, which since he didn't move out, he wasn't going for a timing. And he could start those. Yeah, there it goes, 2-2. Yeah, he gets upgrades really fast. That is still incredibly fast. Yeah, our probe situation is still, I'm still just enough ahead of him to account for the 2 mules he has. So our income, yeah, actually he's a little bit ahead in the minerals, but other than that, pretty identical. It looks like he's not saturated full on his gas for some reason. My gas is staying a little bit ahead of his. Revisit a couple engagements. Let's see what kind of unit count we have here. 13 Zealots and an Archon. 23 Marines. Marines are actually really good against Zealot heavy armies. It's good to have some Marauders in with that concussive shell, but you don't really need a lot of Marauders. The Marauders do really good against the Stalkers, but they don't do good damage against the Zealots. However, them slowing them helps the Marines just survive against the Zealots. Having charge, though, makes this kind of nasty, so army values show us pretty dang even. Note that 2-2, oh, and it's because of his ill timing on it, too. He's actually moving out at a horrible time. If he waited another 35, 40 seconds, this timing would be a lot better for him. We're technically equal on upgrades right now. I have 2 armor, he has 1 armor, 1 damage. So that levels out to be about the same. And I wouldn't say that I had an advantage there, and I lost a lot of hit points on my Zealots. However, I didn't lose many Zealots. So if I spend time out of battle, I'll have a lot of chance for these shields to regenerate, and he instead will be using energy to regenerate. So having that free regeneration, having that engagement not be like a full-on bash, I think really helped me. Not committing until it went down to the last unit. Being able to back off and get some of those shields back. All these Zealots that have low hit points basically get a bonus 50, because they used all their shield because they had to for their hit points to start falling. And then I was able to get their shield back, so it was a lot of wasted damage on his part of the engagement. And now my macro is actually starting to take me off. It looks like still the probe count, I stopped right at 50. Did I really stop right at 50? Okay, now I'm going a little over 50. 50 is like perfect 2-base saturation. It's good to go a little over though. And I'm whipping out my third. My third, it actually looks like, is ahead of his, and it's in location. So his third will have to be lifted. Mine will not. It will just finish there. Oh, and I've got Storm at this point. Yeah, this is where it gets really nasty for him. I've got 2 technologies. I would argue that having Templar turning into Archons might roughly be equivalent to him having Medevacs, whereas me having charge lots is roughly equivalent to his Marine the Marauder. Adding in the Storm and getting the Storm out on the field and using it, I think would roughly bump me up to what he might be able to match if he were to get Ghosts. However, he doesn't have Ghosts. And this ends up being a smash. These Archons just find the Zealots. They don't even need upgrades to do a lot of damage. They just rule face. And I get this hit with his economy. So from here, the story of the game is pretty clear. I'm not sure I'm going to go over the entire rest of the replay. I especially don't want to see the DM again. I take out a lot of SCVs here. Yeah, he's in an unwinnable position. Even if he lifts this over, there's basically no way he can come back from this. Once I get some saturation up over here, I will be able to steamroll, as he put it. So thanks for watching, guys. Watch out for more Skyrim content, of course, coming up. I'm trying to get some things in order. I'm real close to ready to start the Thieves Guild walkthrough. And, of course, I'm also very close to doing my enchanting and smithing analysis videos. Keep an eye out for those, and if you like SC2 content, by all means, tell me. I'm sure if you don't, you're probably not even watching these videos of mine, but I really like the SC2 content. I don't know if I want to say better than Skyrim, but I like it a lot. I like doing it a lot. I like playing these games and being able to, you know, commentate and slap my thoughts out there on some StarCraft. And I really like the feedback I get. It helps facilitate my understanding of the game, even if it's feedback from lower level players. It still puts thoughts in my head that might not otherwise be there. So let me know, and then of course let YouTube know. And if you like all the content, then subscribe, and I'll be throwing more of it at ya. See you later.